After jabbing the back bodice, we will continue to mark and chew the back bodice shape. Before marking, we will check fit. All the lengthwise grain line must fall straight down. The crosswise grain line parallel to the ground. No twisting or pulling. After check and confirm, next, we'll mark the back bodice. Firstly, we use slash to mark back neck point. Use dot to mark back neckline. At the side neck point, mark with a cross. Cross mark both sides of shoulder dot. Cross mark shoulder point. Dot armhole ridge parallel to armhole edge from shoulder point to back waist point. Use cross mark to indicate the under armhole point. Cross mark side waist point. Dot waistline. Cross mark both sides of waist dot. Continue dot waistline. Use slash, a short line, to indicate back waist point. Check if all the areas has been marked, including neckline, shoulder line, armhole, waistline. After marking, we can remove the back drape from the dress form for chewing. It's the back muslin we removed from dress form. We can see the cross marks dots on the muslin. Next, I'll show you the chewing process of the back bodice. Firstly, we will chew the back waist dot. Determine the position of dot center line. Divide the dot width into half. Mark, measure along waistline the distance from this mark to center back. At the dot vanishing point level, measure the same distance from center back mark. Chew the dot center line by connecting two marks. This is the dot vanishing point. Chew dot legs by connecting dot vanishing point with dot cross marks. The back waist dot completed chewing. Before chew the shoulder seam, we will check if the width of shoulder dot is reasonable, if the position is correct. Measure the front shoulder seam between front neck point and shoulder dot at 0.15 cm. Then check if the back shoulder seam between back neck point and shoulder dot is the same. If they are not equal, adjust them to be equal. Similarly, measure the front shoulder seam between front shoulder point and shoulder dot at 0.15 cm. Then check if the back shoulder seam between back shoulder point and shoulder dot is the same. If they are not equal, adjust them to be equal. Finally, check the shoulder dot. The width of the shoulder dot mustn't exceed 1.3 cm. If it's wider than 1.3 cm, please adjust. I measure the dot width. It's approximately 1.3 cm, so I will go to next step. If your back shoulder dot is wider than 1.3 cm, then you need to pin the muslin back dress form. Find out where the problem is. Then make correction. Next, we will chew the back shoulder dot. Connect the dot cross mark nearest to the neckline with the vanishing point of the waistline dot. On this line, mark the vanishing point of the shoulder dot 7.5 centimeters down from the shoulder seam. It's the vanishing point of shoulder dot. Connect the dot vanishing point with the dot cross mark nearest to the armhole. We completed chewing the back shoulder dot. For the back neckline, don't drop the back neck point. From back neck point, square a short line approximately 2.5 centimeters. Chew the neckline by placing the French curve so that the curved edge follows the neckline dots. Blend into short line and touch side neck point. Close back shoulder dot. Crease the dot line nearest to neckline. Bring this line to meet the dot line nearest the armhole. Pin the back shoulder dot. The back shoulder dot is shorter than other dots. Fold at dot vanishing point. Make the back shoulder area flat. Chew the back shoulder line by connecting the shoulder point and side neck point. Next, we'll chew the side seam. Similarly, connect side waist point with under armhole point. This is the tight side seam. We bring front bodice and check if the length of the front and back side seam is equal. Firstly, match front and back side waist point. Now you can see front and back under armhole point exactly match. If they are not equal, make adjustment. Then, along the side seam, measure down from the under armhole point 2.5 cm mark. From the load point, square out 1.3 cm. This is the new under armhole point. Draw new side seam by connecting the new under armhole point with the side waist point. Next, we will chew the back armhole. The back armhole will start from the shoulder point, tangenting to the 5 cm line, ending at the load armhole. Chew the below part of armhole by pressing the French curve so that the outer edge tangenting to the 5 cm line, touching the new under armhole point. Then, chew the upper part of armhole. The outer edge of French curve tangenting to the 5 cm line, touching the shoulder point. Let's review the chewing steps. Chew back waist dot, shoulder dot, back neckline, shoulder seam, side seam, and back armhole. Then, close back waist dot. Crease the dot line nearest to the center back. Bring this line to meet the dot line nearest to the side seam. Pin back waist dot. Pin the shoulder dot evenly. Okay, like front bodice. Then we add seam allowance. Attention please. Keep the original and armhole point. Trim away excess muslin. Remember to keep the original and armhole point. Next, pin front and back side seam together and chew the waistline. If needed, blend the low armhole into a smooth curve. Match side waist point. Match lower and armhole point. Notice, we pin on new side seam, not the original side seam. At the front waist point, square a short line approximately 1.3 cm. At the front, T-line and waistline intersection, square a short line. At the back waist point, square a short line approximately 2.5 centimeters. Blend the waistline with a continuous smooth line, lowering the side waist point when needed. Then, add seam allowance. Trim away excess muslin at the waist area. Pin front and back shoulder seam. Fold back shoulder, match side neck point. Pin shoulder seam with 90-degree angle to the seam line. Notice, don't pin parallelly to shoulder seam. Check for the joint part of the neckline and the armhole. Make correction if necessary. Look here. The armhole at shoulder is not smooth. In this case, we need to blend it so that the armhole in every part is smooth. After checking and adjusting, now we have completed the basic bodice.